Prepare yourself for a realization that may feel unsettling, isolating, and difficult to explain. You may sense that something within you has shifted, yet no language around angel numbers, meditation apps, or surface-level spirituality fully captures it. You feel different, not in a dramatic or mystical way, but in a quiet, persistent way that makes ordinary life feel misaligned. Others may label it stress, burnout, or emotional exhaustion. You may even question yourself. But beneath that discomfort is the deeper frustration of knowing you are awakening to something real, something most people around you cannot see or relate to. In this video, we will uncover the subtle spiritual symptom that often marks those who are not only awakening, but who were born to guide others out of unconscious living. This symptom does not announce itself loudly. It works beneath the surface, reshaping how you perceive yourself, the world, and your place within it. We will help you recognize why this experience is not confusion, not imbalance, and not something to suppress but a precise moment of activation. You will begin to understand why this feeling appears quietly, why it is often misunderstood, and why it only emerges in certain individuals. By the end of this video, what once felt disorienting will begin to make sense. You will recognize that this symptom is not about intensity, but responsibility. It appears only in those whose energy can hold collective transformation. If you see yourself reflected in this message, understand this. It is not accidental, temporary, or reversible. It is the moment your soul begins to remember why it came here. And once that remembrance begins, everything, your identity, your purpose, and your reality starts to shift. Watch until the end, because this may be the clarity you've been waiting for without knowing how to name it. If these things resonate with you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss messages for awakening souls. Each video is a piece of the puzzle to help you remember who you are and why you are here. Introduction to the story. Now, take a deep breath and listen. Because what you are about to hear is not common knowledge, but the story of a subtle sign, an experience that only arises when a soul begins to remember its true mission. Section 1. The life you built no longer feels like yours. Awakening rarely arrives with drama or announcement. It does not crash into your life with thunder or revelation. Instead, it slips in quietly, almost invisibly, woven into the most ordinary moments of your day. It may find you while driving a familiar road, scrolling absent-mindedly through your phone, or folding laundry in silence. Nothing on the outside appears different, yet something inside you shifts. A subtle but unmistakable realization rises to the surface, gentle at first, then undeniable. This no longer feels like me. The life you worked so hard to build begins to feel strangely foreign. Your job, your relationships, your goals, even the identity you present to the world start to feel borrowed, as though you are living inside a structure designed by expectations rather than truth. What once felt stable now feels hollow. Questions surface that you may have buried for years, questions you were never ready to face until now. Why does this matter to me anymore? Who decided this was success? At what point did I stop feeling alive inside my own life? In the beginning, you may try to outrun the discomfort. You change routines, seek distractions, plan trips, add pleasure. Fill your schedule with movement and noise. You tell yourself you are just tired, restless, or ungrateful. But the feeling does not fade, it deepens. No matter how much you rearrange the external details, the inner dissonance remains, quietly persistent, asking to be acknowledged. What you are experiencing is not confusion or dissatisfaction. It is an energetic mismatch between who you have become on the inside and the life you are still living on the outside. This is the early stage of the dismantling of the false self, the version of you that learned how to survive, adapt, and please, but not how to fully exist. Many people can move through an entire lifetime on autopilot, comfortably numb, rarely questioning the structure of their lives. Chosen ones cannot. Once awareness begins, it does not allow you to return to unconscious living. You may feel torn between comfort and truth, between the safety of what is familiar and the pull of something unnamed but deeply real. The conflict can feel unsettling, even frightening, because it threatens everything you once relied on for stability. Yet once the illusion cracks, there is no repairing it. This is not a phase, and it is not simply change, it is departure. And once it begins, you cannot unknow what your soul has already recognized as false. The awakening has started, and it will continue, not to destroy you, but to bring you back to yourself. Before we move forward, pause here for a moment and let this land. If any part of this section felt familiar, if you recognized yourself in the quiet disconnection, the unanswered questions, or the sense that something no longer fits, know that you are not alone in this experience. This awareness is the doorway, not the destination. If this resonated with you, take a second to support this message by liking the video and share your thoughts in the comments so others know they're not walking this path by themselves. You can also simply type, "I am ready to live in truth," as a gentle affirmation of what your soul already knows. And when you're ready, let's continue, because what comes next explains why this feeling emerges and what it is preparing you for. Section 2. Familiar faces begin to feel foreign. Once the inner landscape begins to shift, the outer world cannot remain the same. Change rarely stops at the level of thoughts or beliefs. It moves outward, quietly but decisively, into your relationships. People you once felt deeply aligned with may suddenly seem distant. Not because anyone has done something wrong, but because the shared rhythm you once moved to is no longer playing. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly may now feel shallow or strained. The connection is still there in memory, yet something essential has changed in the present moment. You may find yourself sitting across from someone you have known for years, listening to their words, responding politely, and realizing with a quiet ache that you are no longer speaking the same inner language. This experience can be confusing and even unsettling. It is important to understand that this is not a matter of superiority or judgment. You are not above anyone, and no one is beneath you. What you are experiencing is resonance. Your inner frequency is shifting, and resonance determines connection more than history ever could. As your energy moves into a higher, clearer state, not everyone can move alongside you. Some are simply not meant to. This divergence often creates friction before it creates clarity. Misunderstandings arise where there were once easy agreements. Emotional distance appears where closeness used to live. Social environments that once felt familiar, warm, and grounding may now feel heavy, draining, or strangely misaligned. You may leave gatherings feeling exhausted rather than nourished, wondering why places and people that once felt like home now feel foreign. This stage is one of the loneliest passages of awakening. The temptation to retreat back into old patterns is strong. Many people abandon their inner transformation here, choosing comfort over truth, familiarity over alignment. They silence the quiet knowing within themselves in order to preserve belonging. Chosen ones do not. They feel the loneliness fully, without numbing or denial, because something deeper than comfort is guiding them forward. What you are experiencing is not rejection, even though it may feel that way at times. It is recalibration. The universe is not taking people away to punish you or isolate you. It is rearranging your connections to reflect who you are becoming, not who you were required to be in the past. Relationships based on shared wounds, unconscious agreements, or outdated versions of yourself cannot follow you into this new frequency. Yes, it hurts. Grief is part of this transition, and it deserves to be honored. But this phase is also preparation. It is making space for relationships rooted in truth rather than habit, depth rather than convenience, and resonance rather than history. What feels like loss now is often the clearing that allows genuine connection to arrive later, in forms you cannot yet imagine. Section 3. Sensitivity turns the world loud. As your awareness deepens, the world does not become brighter first, it becomes louder. Sounds you once ignored now press against your senses. Crowded spaces feel heavy. Constant stimulation, fast conversations, emotional intensity, and background noise begin to drain you far more quickly than they ever did before. What once felt normal now feels overwhelming, as though your entire system is receiving too much information at once. This experience is often misunderstood. It is not anxiety, and it is not fragility. It is energetic sensitivity. Your nervous system is no longer operating on autopilot. It is no longer built to absorb everything unconsciously just to survive or belong. Instead, it has become refined. You begin to register subtle layers of reality that were always present but previously unnoticed, intentions behind words, emotional currents beneath conversations, and energetic states that linger in rooms long after people have left. None of this requires effort. You simply know, feel, and sense. Because of this shift, solitude stops feeling like avoidance and starts feeling like necessity. Time alone becomes a way to recalibrate your inner world rather than escape the outer one. Nature feels deeply restorative, not as a luxury, but as a biological and energetic requirement. Silence becomes more than the absence of noise. It becomes medicine for a system that is learning to regulate itself at a higher level of perception. You may also notice changes in how your body responds to everyday inputs. Certain foods feel heavier than they used to. Prolonged exposure to screens, technology, or artificial light may leave you fatigued or unsettled. Loud sounds or chaotic environments can feel physically uncomfortable rather than merely distracting. This is not your body failing you. It is your system purifying, shedding what no longer aligns with its heightened sensitivity and awareness. Chosen ones do not move through life as detached observers. They experience reality from the inside out. They feel its textures, its moods, and its unspoken signals. This depth of sensitivity eventually teaches you something essential: the importance of boundaries. Not walls built out of fear or withdrawal, but boundaries rooted in self-respect and clarity. You begin choosing where to place your energy, who has access to your attention, and which environments support your nervous system rather than overwhelm it. What once felt like a flaw, being too sensitive, too affected, or too much, reveals itself as discernment. Your sensitivity becomes a compass, quietly guiding you toward what is nourishing and away from what depletes you. The world may feel louder now, but within that noise, your inner clarity grows stronger, more precise, and unmistakably your own. Before we move forward, take a moment to pause and truly reflect on what you just heard. Ask yourself honestly, where in your life has the noise become too loud? What environments, relationships, or habits leave you feeling drained rather than clear? This sensitivity is not something to push away, it is something to listen to. If these words resonated with you, I invite you to ground them by engaging with this moment. Leave a comment sharing what part of this section felt most true for you, or simply type, "My sensitivity is my guidance," as an affirmation of the clarity you are learning to protect. Your reflection anchors the awareness and it prepares you for what comes next. Section 4. Competition loses its meaning. As your awakening deepens, something subtle yet profound begins to shift within you. The constant urge to prove yourself, to measure your worth against others, slowly dissolves. You may still feel inspired to create, to build, to achieve meaningful goals. But the hunger for dominance, comparison, or superiority no longer drives your actions. What once felt urgent and necessary now feels strangely hollow, as if the fuel that powered your ambition has quietly changed. In the early stages, this transition can feel unsettling. You may wonder whether you are losing motivation or becoming less driven, questioning why the old fire no longer burns the same way. But ambition is not disappearing. It is being refined. The energy that once sought external validation is turning inward, aligning itself with deeper purpose and clarity. You are not doing less, you are doing what actually matters. Gradually, competition gives way to purpose. Validation is replaced by alignment. Recognition is no longer the prize. Impact becomes the measure. You stop climbing ladders that lead to destinations you never truly wanted, paths built on borrowed definitions of success. The ego loosens its grip, no longer demanding applause or comparison to feel worthy. In its place emerges a quieter, steadier drive rooted in service, creation, and genuine contribution. You begin to notice a clear distinction between your path and the paths of others. While many chase visibility, you are drawn toward truth. While others seek control, status, or dominance, you seek coherence between your values, your actions, and your inner world. Your choices are no longer reactions to what others are doing. They are responses to what feels aligned within your soul. At this stage, it becomes clear that your soul does not want to win in the traditional sense. It does not want to conquer, outshine, or outpace anyone else. It wants to wake up. It wants to express what is real, honest, and alive within you. Success is no longer defined by being above others, but by being deeply anchored in yourself. Once this becomes your guiding force, you stop fighting for space in systems that do not reflect your values or honor your truth. You no longer beg for permission or recognition from structures that were never designed to support who you are becoming. Instead, you begin to build quietly, intentionally what others have not yet imagined. And in doing so, you step out of competition entirely, because you are no longer playing the same game. Section 5. Time no longer moves the same. At a certain point in awakening, your relationship with time begins to shift in ways that are difficult to explain but impossible to ignore. What once felt fixed and predictable starts to loosen. Minutes can feel unusually long, stretching wide with depth and sensation, while hours pass in a blink, collapsing without warning. The orderly, linear way you were taught to measure life begins to lose its authority. Time no longer feels like a ruler pressing against your days. Instead, it becomes something fluid, responsive, alive. This change is often misunderstood. It is not distraction, forgetfulness, or a lack of discipline. It is not poor focus or mental fatigue. What you are experiencing is expanded consciousness awareness no longer fully synchronized with clock-based reality. As your presence deepens, your attention moves out of rigid sequencing and into a more holistic perception. You are no longer anchored solely to what was or what should be. The past loosens its emotional grip. The future stops pulling so aggressively at your mind. You begin to sense, quietly but clearly, that everything is happening at once, layered within the same moment. With this awareness comes a profound reordering of priorities. Intuition begins to outrank schedules. Inner alignment starts to matter more than external control. You may notice that rigid routines feel strangely constricting, as though they were built for a version of you that no longer exists. Long-term plans that once provided security may now feel hollow or forced. This is not laziness, avoidance, or a loss of ambition. It is recalibration. Your inner compass is adjusting to a truer rhythm, one that cannot be dictated by calendars or deadlines alone. Gradually, you begin to trust flow over force. Instead of pushing, you listen. Instead of chasing outcomes, you respond to signals. Synchronicities begin to replace strategy. Conversations happen at exactly the right moment. Opportunities appear without strain. The right people arrive not because you planned every step, but because you were available, present, and aligned. What once required effort now unfolds with precision. Time, in this state, is no longer something you race against or attempt to conquer. It becomes something you move with. You learn to feel its currents rather than fight them. And in doing so, life begins to meet you where you are exactly when it needs to. Before we move into the next sign, take a moment to pause with what you've just felt. If this shift in time resonates with your own experience, if you've noticed moments stretching, collapsing, or unfolding with uncanny precision, then you're already sensing how deeply your awareness is changing. This is not a small realization, and you don't have to process it alone. If this section spoke to you, gently support the message by liking this video and share your thoughts in the comments. You can simply type, "I move with time, not against it," as a way of anchoring this awareness. And as we continue, allow yourself to stay open, because the next sign reveals how this new relationship with time begins to reshape the way you perceive reality itself. Section 6. Solitude becomes sacred. As awakening deepens, a quiet but unmistakable shift occurs within you. A profound craving for solitude begins to rise. This desire does not come from sadness, rejection, or emotional withdrawal. You still care deeply for others. Your capacity for compassion has not diminished. If anything, it has expanded. Yet alongside that care emerges a need for silence that feels non-negotiable. Not because people drain you intentionally, but because your system now requires space to recalibrate. Solitude becomes the environment where integration finally happens. It is where scattered insights settle into understanding, where emotional residue dissolves, and where clarity gently returns. Your nervous system, once locked in constant alertness, begins to release its grip. The subtle tension you didn't realize you were carrying softens. Breath deepens. Thought slows. In this quiet, your inner world regains coherence. Extended time around others may begin to blur your energy. Conversations feel louder than before. Social environments that once energized you now feel overstimulating. This is not judgment. It is not superiority. It is energetic sensitivity. Your awareness has become more refined, and with that refinement comes the need to protect the clarity you've gained. You are no longer able to absorb endless input without consequence. Naturally, you may find yourself withdrawing from social noise. You unplug from constant messaging, step back from crowded environments, and choose stillness over stimulation. To the outside world, this may look like isolation. But internally, it feels like relief. Most people fear being alone because they associate silence with emptiness. Chosen ones discover something entirely different. Alone is not empty, it is full, it is sacred. In solitude, your signal strengthens. Without interference, your intuition sharpens. Direction that felt lost begins to resurface. Answers arrive without force. Stillness becomes not an absence of life, but a return to truth. This is where alignment is restored. This is where you remember who you are beneath the noise. Section 7. The mission makes itself known. At a certain point in awakening, a quiet but unmistakable knowing begins to rise within you. It does not arrive with instructions or a dramatic revelation. It emerges gently, almost reverently, from deep within your awareness. You start to sense without needing proof that you did not arrive in this life by accident. There is a growing recognition that your presence here carries intention, that your soul entered this world for something specific and meaningful. This realization goes far beyond the basic urge to exist or the instinct to survive. It is not about chasing success, securing comfort, or meeting expectations handed down by others. Instead, it is a subtle yet powerful awareness that you are meant to serve in a way that is uniquely aligned with who you truly are. Not a borrowed role, not a copied path, but an expression of your essence that cannot be replicated by anyone else. At first, you may not know what this mission looks like in practical terms. The details remain unclear, almost deliberately withheld. Yet what is clear is that your current life, no matter how stable or outwardly acceptable, no longer feels sufficient. The routines that once kept you grounded now feel restrictive. The definition of normal that once guided you no longer fits your inner landscape. Something within you knows there is more, even if you cannot yet name it. This inner pull does not weaken with time. It does not fade when ignored or dissolve through distraction. In fact, it intensifies. The more you try to quiet it, the louder it becomes, not through noise, but through persistence. It shows up as restlessness, as longing, as a sense of unfinished purpose that refuses to be dismissed. This is not imagination, wishful thinking, or spiritual fantasy. It is recognition, a remembering. Your soul recognizing itself beyond conditioning, beyond fear, beyond ego-driven ambition. Your mission may eventually take a public form, visible to many, or it may remain private, quietly transforming lives one moment at a time. It may be expressed through words, presence, creation, healing, or simply the way you move through the world. What matters is this. Sensing it means your awakening has entered a rare and profound stage. This is soul recognition without ego interference. And once it begins, there is no turning back, only deeper alignment with why you are truly here. As this journey unfolds, there comes a moment when something irreversible settles within you. It is not loud or dramatic, yet it is absolute. You lose the ability to pretend. You can no longer manufacture enthusiasm for what drains you, shrink yourself to keep others comfortable, or participate in conversations and roles that feel empty at the core. This is not a hardening of the heart. It is a return to honesty. A quiet, grounded honesty that no longer negotiates with falsehood. From this place, your presence begins to change the room. Some people may step back, sensing that the version of you they once knew no longer exists. Others may feel unexpectedly drawn to you, not because you are trying to impress or persuade, but because truth carries a frequency that cannot be faked. And through it all, you feel something new and unfamiliar at first: freedom. Not freedom from responsibility, but freedom from self-betrayal. This is the return to truth. Life begins to simplify, not because it becomes easier, but because it becomes clearer. Boundaries no longer feel like walls. They feel like self-respect. Decisions no longer come from fear or obligation. They arise from alignment. You stop apologizing for taking up space, for needing depth, for honoring your inner compass, because you finally remember who you are and why you are here. If you recognize even a few of these layers within yourself, hear this clearly. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not imagining this shift. This is not stress, burnout, or confusion. It is activation. You are not merely awakening to awareness. You are being prepared to lead with integrity, presence, and truth. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to anchor it. Leave a comment below with the words, ***, I feel this awakening in my soul. ***, let it be a conscious acknowledgement of what is already moving within you. And if this video supported you, please like it, share it with someone who may be walking this path quietly, and subscribe to the channel so you can continue exploring the messages waiting for you below. If you resonate with these messages, subscribe to the Spiritual Flow channel to continue following our insightful sharing about awakening, healing, and the truth of the soul. Move forward with awareness and trust, because once remembrance begins, the path does not close, it becomes clearer.